Now, you have studied about gaseous diffusion or diffusion in liquid, but in engineering, in material science and engineering, this solid state diffusion is a very important topic. Uh, why it is important, we'll see. But in gaseous state or liquid state, as you know, that interatomic space is quite large, so atoms can move from one place to another quite easily at room temperature also. So that is quite, easy to visualize. But since the interatomic space in solid is quite small, it is quite difficult to visualize how the atoms will move from one place to another. But it happens. It happens why? As you know that if you raise the temperature of a solid, interatomic space increases. So the space becomes, you know, mm, large to such an extent that atom can move from one place to another place. So that is the idea. So solid state diffusion is basically dependent on temperature. So that is the point to be remembered, and we'll come in detail. Now, when we are discussing about solid state diffusion, and if you consider a piece of material where we are interested to study diffusion, and if you keep the piece of material in an environment where, you know,
স্যার, এটা শেয়ার করুন স্যার, স্টপ হয়ে গেছে ওটা।
কোনটা?
আপনি কি
স্যার,
স্ক্রিন প্রেজেন্ট করছেন স্যার?
হ্যাঁ স্যার, ওটা স্টপ হয়ে
Stop
গেছে।
হয়ে গেছে? Can you see the slide?
নো স্যার।
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা, দাঁড়াও, কেন এটা আমি তো প্রেজেন্ট করলাম। ওকে, লেট
আপনি
মি
স্টপ করে আরেকবার করুন স্যার।
হ্যাঁ, ওটা অলরেডি স্টপ হয়ে গেছে, ঠিক আছে, এক মিনিট।
হ্যাঁ স্যার, নাও ইট ইজ
দেখা যাচ্ছে
হ্যাঁ
এবার?
স্যার।
Okay, so what I was telling that, suppose you keep a piece of material in environment where, the atoms movement of atoms can, number one, if it can be possible that the atoms, that is number one way. Itself. So there are three different ways that can be possible, and we'll have to keep in mind all these three possibilities, whether the atoms are going into the environment, or whether there is a movement of atom within the material, or atoms are coming from environment to the material. So all three cases can be possible for solid state diffusion. So before we go into the detail, let us see what do you mean by solid state diffusion, and what are the some of the examples. I will start with some of the examples or some of the application of solid state diffusion in engineering. So to define solid state diffusion, we can say that solid state diffusion refers to the movement of atoms in solids which is accompanied by a change of concentration of the components in certain zones of the solids. It is just like, liquid state or gaseous state diffusion. Suppose you spray some scent in one corner of the room. After some time, you will find that the scent you can smell from the other corner of the room. So because the concentration, change in concentration. initially there were the difference in concentration of that particular scent. So after some time, what happens? The concentration becomes equal in all this space. So that is how the diffusion will take place only if and only there is a difference in concentration gradient or concentration. So that is one of the required criteria. हेलो, हाँ मैं थोड़ा क्लास में हूँ, हाँ थोड़ा बाद में फोन कीजिए। हाँ हाँ ठीक, ओके ओके ओके। So that is what solid state diffusion. Now, and a prerequisite for solid state diffusion is the presence of imperfections. The imperfections can be in the form of one-dimensional, two-dimensional, or three-dimensionals. But if the crystal structure is perfect, if there is no space of movement of atom, then the likelihood of solid state diffusion is less. You cannot say that there will be no movement of atom. It may be there. Atoms can move from one place to another even in perfect crystal, but that possibility will be less, or you may require very high temperature. But if there are some imperfections like vacancy or point defects, then the atoms will move quite easily from one place to another. Besides, other factors are also there. So this is one of the very important criteria that is required for solid state diffusion. Besides, temperature is another criteria. So there are so many factors so that we can have the solid state diffusion. Now, as I was telling that basically solid state diffusion takes place because of this gradient. One of the important term is that gradient, and there can be concentration gradient, there can be electric gradient, magnetic gradient, or stress gradient also. So mainly here we will be concentrating on the discussion of solid state diffusion with reference to concentration gradient. So we will see how concentration gradient is related to the diffusivity or diffusion flux and all that, and we will also perform some numerical calculations and all that. And before that, let us see what are the applications. A few applications, let me explain. Now, if you look at this picture, this is spar gear, and after machining, after manufacturing this spar gear normally we manufacture from cast iron, particularly gray cast iron. So gray cast iron is a brittle material, and it has got a very high compressive strength, but still, the possibility of wear and tear in case of a spar gear is on the surface of the tooth. So what we require is that we will have to make the surface of the tooth, very hard. So there is a process called case hardening. Now, case hardening is basically a heat treatment process, or you can say it is also a diffusion process. Is that after manufacturing or machining this spar gear, we keep this spar gear in an appropriate environment where carbon atoms are present. We artificially create an atmosphere where carbon atoms are there, and then at a particular temperature, if we raise the temperature, what happens? The carbon atoms from the environment diffuse into the surface of this gear, and the surface becomes highly concentrated so far as the concentration of carbon atom is concerned. Now, not only that carbon atom, when it diffuse into the surface of the gear, it makes a compound with iron. It makes a compound with iron, which we call Fe3C. Fe3C. It is called carbide, iron carbide. Now, iron carbide is a very hard material. Its hardness is very high, and so thereby what we have done, we can increase the hardness of the surface, and thereby we can reduce the wear and tear, and so the life of that particular component, not only the spar gear. Just this is an example, but there are so many components where we need to increase the surface hardness. So in all those cases, or for all those components, we need to perform this case hardening. So case hardening basically is a diffusion process, and if you want to study, in detail, say you require a certain hardness, certain degree of hardness. So what is the time, how long you will keep the material in the carburizing or the case hardening atmosphere, all those calculations, and besides that, what is the depth up to which you require a certain percentage of carbon concentration. All those calculations can be done by solid state diffusion, and we will discuss all those type of problems, and also we will solve some numerical problems. So this is one example, just one example, but you can extend this type of this example for any components, as I told you, which requires high surface hardness. And there are so many components we use where there are so many this wear and tear takes place. So we need to increase the hardness of the component by this particular process. So this is one example. Next example I can give you, that processing of N-type semiconductor. We can manufacture N-type or P-type semiconductor. This manufacturing process is basically by a process of diffusion. What is done is that a particular semiconductor, let us say silicon, that technology, not going into the technology, but I am discussing only the idea how this diffusion process is actually used for manufacturing P-type semiconductor. Actual technology may be a bit complicated, but the process is diffusion. Now what is done is that, suppose you want to manufacture N-type of semiconductor. As you know, we will have to this semiconductor silicon is kept in a phosphorus-rich atmosphere. Phosphorus-rich atmosphere can be created artificially, and this silicon is kept in that atmosphere, and similar to the earlier example, at a particular pressure or temperature, the pressure and temperature will indicate the percentage of phosphorus or concentration of phosphorus in the atmosphere. And initially, let us assume that there is no phosphorus in the silicon. So the phosphorus concentration in the atmosphere is high, and phosphorus concentration silicon is low. So phosphorus will diffuse into silicon, and the surface will be enriched by phosphorus atom. And subsequently, there are other processes like heating and other processes are there. So it will be a phosphorus-rich silicon, and thereby we can say that it will be N-type semiconductor. Now, how much phosphorus? What is the quantity of phosphorus we need to diffuse into this silicon? That will be decided by the calculations. There are certain calculations that can be done with reference to concentration that will be diffused into the silicon atom. So this is another example. So there are this type of examples are there. We will discuss as we will proceed. So this is just to give you where this diffusion process can be applied in engineering field. Now let us start this thermally activated process. So as till now we can understand, or we can guess that diffusion is basically a thermally activated process. And as I have already told you diffusion, solid state diffusion is possible at normally at a higher temperature, not at room temperature. So you must have to increase the temperature. So rate of diffusion, if you consider that a rate, it can be rate of diffusion. This rate of diffusion actually related by this equation, and this is a well-known equation. Arrhenius, known as Arrhenius. So equation, the rate equals to some constant into e to the power minus q by RT. Now C is a constant, then Q is activation energy, and T is the absolute temperature, and R is universal gas constant. So this can be slightly modified in another term also that we will see. So this is the basic equation. Now, term of the thermally activated process can be the generation of point defects. We have already discussed to some extent. Then case hardening, I have given the example, manufacturing of microchips or the semiconductors, creep rate. Then other types of solid state diffusion when you are performing some, the alloying of some materials. Then the electrical conductivity, change in electrical conductivity also is a thermally activated process. If you raise the temperature, then the conductivity of the material will change, and it will be related to this particular equation. So what is activation energy for solid state diffusion? You have studied in chemistry about activation energy for in case of some chemical reaction, but here we will slightly define in some different way, but concept is similar. So activation energy is the energy barrier that must be overcome by thermal activation, so that an atom from one stable position goes to another stable position. So this is the diagram just to give you the idea. So suppose this atom was at this particular position. This is the path or the displacement, you can see, or where the atom is moving from one place to another place. So the position of the atom was somewhere here initially, and the energy level was somewhere here. Now, suppose this atom wants to move from this particular place to another stable position. So, as you know that energy at a stable position is minimum, or potential energy will be minimum. So, when the atom is at stable position, at this particular position, its energy is minimum. Now, if it wants to go from this place to another stable position, then it must have to cross some energy barrier. So as it is moving from this place, as it is moving from this equilibrium position to another equilibrium position, it may so happen that it will have to squeeze past through some of the atoms, and thereby it requires more energy. So energy will be more, and then again when it is reaching to the another equilibrium position, its total energy will be minimum. So this is the energy difference. This energy difference is defined as the activation energy for one atom. So we can calculate the activation energy per mole, and if we divide that total activation energy by Avogadro number, we will get what is the activation energy per atom. So this is the idea of activation energy in case of solid state diffusion. Now we have slightly. I have given you a brief idea while we are discussing about how the imperfections, how to estimate the activation energy. So here is also the explanation. So we know this Arrhenius equation rate, and what we will do, let us say we'll perform some experiment for a diffusion process, for a particular diffusion process where we are interested in to study, and we want to calculate the activation energy of a particular atom. So what we will do, we will measure this rate can be measured experimentally. This rate can be measured. So we will get some data. Data means at a particular temperature, what is the diffusion rate. So we'll get these points, different experiment. These points are different experimental results. So the more we will have data with us, the more will be the accurate will be our estimation. So here we have around, let us say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Roughly around 10, 12 data have been plotted here. So if you feed this data, there is a process called curve fitting. This will be linear equation. So there is a process called least square method, by which we can feed the data into a linear equation, and from the slope. So obviously this equation can be, we'll see it, this equation can be transformed into a linear equation, and then the slope will be minus q by r, and x will be 1 by t, and this will be ln of rate. So this slope will be equal to minus q by r, and once you measure this quantity, slope, and equate this to minus q by r, from here you can get the value of q, and also you will get the value of c. So this is the way. So now you can say that we have only two unknown in this equation, like c and your this thing slope. So we can take only two data, but the problem is that then your estimations may not be correct. Suppose if you take two data and if you try to fit into a straight line, then the slope will get changed. For different data, if you consider some two data, you see slope, there will be a lot of change in slope. So there will be error in estimation of the activation energy. That is why we'll have to collect a few number of data, maybe 10, 12, something like that, to have the correct estimation of this activation energy. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let us proceed. Now, diffusion mechanism. Diffusion mechanism, normally we have these three different types of mechanism. One we call the vacancy mechanism, then interstitial mechanism, and interchange mechanism. So vacancy mechanism quite easy to visualize. So vacancy, in case of vacancy mechanism, there will be some vacancy, and we know how to form this vacancy and these point defects. If you raise the temperature, there will be disruption of the crystal structure, regular crystal structures, and there may be defects in the material. So what will happen, that these atoms can move from one place to the another place or the vacant place quite easily. So this is the vacancy mechanism. This atomic migration is taking place this way, and the vacancy migration is taking obviously in the opposite direction. So vacancy mechanism is quite, probability of occurrence of this vacancy mechanism is quite high. So that is why we have already discussed that the prerequisite of solid state diffusion is the vacancy or some types of defects, imperfections. So vacancy mechanism, this is another diagram. Then okay, this vacancy diffusion. So basically atoms exchange with vacancies applied to substitution. This type of vacancy mechanism, normally it is sort of substitutional mechanism, you can say. So it depends on the number of vacancies and activation energy. So the more number of vacancy you can create, the rate of diffusion will be also more. Next comes the interstitial mechanism. Interstitial basically is the diffusion of atoms or movement of atoms between the interstitial space. So as we know, the interstitial space is the this space where we can imagine one atom is there of smaller size compared to the parent atom. So this atom will move from one interstitial space to another interstitial space. So here you can visualize the activation energy. See, suppose this atom wants to move from this place to the another place. So what will happen? It will have to squeeze pass through these bigger atoms. It will have to pass through these two atoms. So here its total potential energy will be more, but when it is moving towards this side, then its energy gets increased, and again when it comes to the another stable position, energy becomes same. So this change in this energy, the maximum energy to the energy at stable position, is basically the activation energy, which we have already discussed. So interstitial diffusion, again some diagrams are there. So interstitial diffusion is quite possible, and the point is that the size of the atom is comparatively less compared to the parent atom. Then of course it is quite easy. Interstitial diffusion can take place quite easily. Then another type of diffusion, which is called the self diffusion, we can think of like this, that the it is called the self diffusion, or that we call the interchange type of diffusion. Actually what happens, the possibility of this type of diffusion is quite less, but we cannot say that it will not happen. If you raise the temperature to such an extent that atoms will move from one place to another, so this type of diffusion is also possible. It is called interchange. That means atoms interchange their positions in the form of a ring. That is why it is called the ring form, movement of atoms in the form of ring. It can be triangular, or that is like square or something like that. So this is called the interchange diffusion. So movement of atoms within the materials will not go out, or atoms will not go out from the parent material. Next comes the type of diffusion. As we have seen that self diffusion, that means diffusion within the material, interdiffusion between the materials and the environment. There can be diffusion through the surface also. There can be the volume diffusion. A bulk of material can diffuse into the material, not only the atoms but also a large amount of atom in the form of a small volume can diffuse into the material. There can be grain boundary diffusions. So there are so many different types of diffusions. You can go through the textbook, you can easily understand this concept. So self-diffusion, I need not have to explain, you can think of. Interdiffusion, just let me say here. Interdiffusion, let us consider two different types of material here, and we are interested to see how what is the concentration profiles. So this is the boundary. As you can see, on the left hand side one type of atom is there, on the right hand side another type of atoms is there. And if we make a couple which is actually called thermocouple, not thermocouple, it is called diffusion couple. We will see this in subsequent discussions. Suppose two metals are kept in contact like this, and the temperature is raised. What will happen is that there is a possibility that the diffusion from left hand side to right hand side, and also from right hand side to left hand side. So initially, before this, starting of diffusion, the concentration profile for the left hand side atom is, the color itself says it is the 100% concentration on the left hand side, and for the right hand side the concentration was 100% on the right side of this boundary. Now as you increase the temperature, what will be the concentration profile? Let us see. It will be something like this. So at the boundary, what will happen? There is in and around the boundary there will be a mixing of atoms, and so the concentration profile will get changed. So this is how concentration profile will get changed, and we will try to study in detail how to calculate the concentration profile at a particular depth for a particular time. So all these calculations, and because of this concentration on the surface, actually the property, whether it is a mechanical property or other types of property, will be different. So the surface will be changed, so the property of the material on the surface will also get changed, and that property will be dependent on the amount of atoms getting diffused into the surface. So that is the idea of studying the solid state diffusion. We will try to relate the diffusion of atoms with the property that we are likely to get. That is, it is obvious that it will depend on the number of atoms getting diffused. So that is the point which you want to study in detail. So this is the in case this is, you can think of sort of interdiffusion of two materials A and B. So if you can relate it to your this thing, say liquid state diffusion, two materials you are mixing. Uh, if you put a drop of ink in water, what will happen after some time? The water itself will look blue, and the concentration, that means concentration everywhere will be same. So this is type of, and same thing may happen in case of solid state diffusion, this thing, solid solution also. In solid solution also same concept is applicable. Only thing is that it will happen at high temperature. When you are making the solids, transforming the phase, and you are making it liquid, and the two types of atoms can mix together, and it will form the alloy. So it is one example. Let us say interdiffusion of copper and nickel on microscopic scale. So copper and nickel, they can diffuse in one into another, and their concentration profile will look like this. We'll study in detail these type of problems. Next point. So far what we have discussed. Is about regarding some basic concepts of solid state diffusion and the types of diffusions. Now what we are going to do, we want to quantify diffusion, because we will perform some calculations, numerical studies are to be carried out. So we want to quantify diffusion. What are the parameters? What are the factors that will be required? That let us see first. So some of the important terms. First term is the diffusion flux, denoted by J. Next term, the concentration gradient. So obviously, dc by dx, x is the displacement. Displacement means we take the distance. It's a length. This is the concentration C. So this gives the gradient. Another important term is called the coefficient of diffusion, or it is called diffusivity, denoted by capital D. And we'll have to study two forms of processes. One is called the steady state diffusion, another one is called the unsteady state diffusion. So we'll see how we can define the steady state diffusion and unsteady state diffusion. Just like heat transfer. If you have studied heat transfer, there can be steady state heat transfer or unsteady state heat transfer. Here also there can be steady state diffusion or unsteady state diffusion. And the two laws known as Fick's first law and Fick's second law actually govern the diffusion process, and this knowing these two laws is very important. And their mathematical form and their equations are very important to solve the problems related to diffusion. So let us see. Now first let us see steady state and unsteady state diffusion. Steady state means where your J, or the diffusion flux, actually is not a function of x and t. It is actually constant. T becomes constant. So what will happen is that let me say that J is not dependent on x and t, but it is dependent. It is just a function of concentration. It's just a function of concentration. It is just a function of concentration. So there can be two possibilities. D can be equal to the function of concentration, and D may not be a function of concentration. But what we say that diffusion flux is not equal to a function of T, means it is not dependent on x and t. So x and t does not, that x indicates the distance and t time. So J remains constant so far as x and t is concerned. J remains constant so far as x and t is concerned. But when we are talking about non-steady state, we will see with the examples it will be clear. When we are talking about non-steady state, that means J is dependent on x as well as t. That means J is varying with reference to distance and also time. So it can also be, there can be two possibilities where D can be, diffusivity can be a function of concentration, or it may not be. We will see the different cases. The only thing you have to remember is that in case of steady state, J remains constant with reference to x and t. Whereas in case of non-steady state, J depends on x and t. So J varies with change in x as well as time. So that is how we differentiate between steady state and non-steady state. Now, diffusion flux. It is defined as the mass or number of atoms diffusing through and perpendicular to a unit cross-sectional area of solid per unit time. Now, this is the definition. So we can express it in the form of, mathematical equation, something like this. J is m divided by a into t in normal form, or you can say the average flux. But if you express in differential form, it can be 1 by a into dm by dt. 1 by a into dm by dt in differential form. So this is the equation of J, or it is called the diffusion flux. So diffusion flux can be, it can be, proportional to slope also. It may vary. It may be complicated also. It is just one, one form of, equation where we say that the, J is proportional to slope, but J may be different also. It may depend on, time, as we have seen in case of unsteady state. So in case of steady state, let us first see the steady state diffusion. Steady state diffusion, already we have defined the steady state. So in case of steady state, let us say another term, we know that concentration gradient dc by dx. So let us say we have got two different, concentration at two different point of, at two different places. At a distance x1, we have got C1 concentration, and at a distance x2, we have C2 concentration. So obviously concentration is less towards the right side, so it will be negative definitely. The slope will be negative. So if you calculate the dc by dx, this will be negative. So that is why the negative slope we have. So here is the mathematical form of diffusion, Fick's first law, and statement we will see in the next page. So J equals to minus d dc by dt. How come this equation has come? This equation has come from Fick's first law. Let us see the statement of the Fick's first law. And obviously the dc by dx we can calculate like this if this is linear. We will see the Fick's first law later on. There is some more slides are there. Next thing is this another important factor or parameter, that is called the diffusion coefficient of diffusion or diffusivity. This diffusivity actually depends on time. Temperature. So temperature as well as the activation energy of the diffusing species or atoms. So this is another equation. This is also the rate equation, Arrhenius equation. So diffusivity of a material, also a thermally activated process, as you can see from the equation. So D, diffusion coefficient, depends on some constant into e to the power minus qd by RT. Where qd is the activation energy. It can be joule per mole or electron volt per atom. So this is the another important parameter which is required for studying the diffusion. temperature dependence diffusivity. Okay, say this is one example. This is we want to calculate the D. So we can use this equation. We can use this equation to calculate. We can use this equation. Now this is theoretically, that means at two different temperature, you know, if you know the diffusivity, by using this equation you can calculate what is the QD, activation energy, all these things. But as I have told you, only two data will not be sufficient to give correct, correct value. So if you want to estimate any parameter using this equation, you will have to collect more than two data points. So here just one equation, how can you calculate the activation energy and diffusion at any other particular point? Because in this case the activation energy is given, D is given at a particular temperature. So we are interested to find out what is D at 350. So we can use this equation and we can calculate. So we can calculate D2. So yes, Fick's first law, this is important, and this equation I have already shown you. So this equation actually has come from Fick's first law, and this Fick's first law states that it's a one line or half line statement. Diffusion flux is proportional to concentration gradient. Diffusion flux is proportional to concentration gradient, or we can say that J proportional to dC by dx. And when you are transforming this into an equation, it becomes minus D. Since normally you see, as in x increases, concentration gets reduced, so dC by dx normally negative. dC by dx negative. So that is why this negative sign has come. So J proportional to minus D dC by dx. This is the mathematical expression of Fick's first law, and this is useful. This is useful for steady state diffusion only. Useful for steady state diffusion only, and we say that J remains constant with reference to time and distance. If J changes, then the problem will be complicated. If J changes, the problem will be complicated. So here the first law can be applied only in case of steady state diffusion, and Fick's second law is the extension of first law, which can be applied for non-steady state also. So let us see how Fick's second law looks like. So again, it is Fick's first law. This is another expression of Fick's first law. So let us see. This is okay, the extension of that. Now this is the quantifying with reference to your Fick's second law. So just see this. This is the case which will be used for us, and we will use this equation, the solution of this equation, for solving problem. So Fick's second law states that the rate of change of concentration, just see this equation, rate of change of concentration is equal to the rate of change in the magnitude of diffusion flux. So this becomes the diffusion flux, this becomes the diffusion flux J. So rate of change of J with reference to X in the direction of diffusion. So mathematically, the Fick's second law can be written by this. Is this equation clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if this is clear, then if we take B as constant for simplicity, and which is independent of concentration, then the equation will be transformed to a simpler form. Otherwise, it will be a partial differential equation, and it will be, solution of this will be slightly complicated. So we will take a simpler form where we can assume that D is not dependent on concentration. Then this equation can be transformed into this equation where delta Cx by dt equals to D delta cx divided by del u, not u, this is x, this will be x, it is wrongly written. It will be del x square, del x2. So this is the diffusion equation. Normally it is treated as diffusion equation, and it has come from fixed second law. Fixed second law. Now, if you see this graph, you can easily understand. That it is a non-steady state case. So, in case of non-steady state case, you see your concentration will be the function of x as well as time. So, at different time and at different x values, you will have different concentration. So, C will be a function of x and t. If C is a function of x and t, then how to find out the concentration? What will be the expression of C as a function of x? That is the main point here. So we need to have the solution of this equation. Now this is a part of mathematics. Probably you have been told about how to solve this type of differential equations. If we will not go into the details of solutions, but only will take the solution of this equation, and we'll use this equation to solve our diffusion related problem. So today, now here is the derivation of fixed second law. You can see it, and I will send this. Okay, we can start today. I have another class from 11, so today we'll stop. We'll have to stop here.
Okay, sir.
What we will do, we will in the next class we will start from here, fixed second law and its solution, and how we will use this solution to solve the diffusion related problem. That we will be discussing in the next class. Okay, so if you have any clarification, you can write me in WhatsApp, so that if you have any clarification, we can discuss it. If you have any questions, you can write me in the WhatsApp. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, then we are stopping today.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.